Hey guys, what's going on? It's Connor or Rudgeyfx here. How are you all doing? So on today's video, I'm going to be talking about the power of a winning mindset. It's something that I speak about quite often, and I'm doing a lot more psychological videos within my series, within my socials, within my YouTube, just because it's something that's really important to me. And without the mindset that I have now, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I think mindset is crucial because, you know, when you overcome these mental barriers, it does truly change your yourself, your visions, your beliefs, your goals, you know, just your day-to-day life. Being a positive person is really important. You know, not everyone's be positive all the time. Last week I had a really negative week. This week I've had probably one of the best weeks I've had in a while. And that's just the power of switching your mindset and knowing how to trigger a positive mindset, right? So, I've been going to the gym now for about 1.5 years, and you know, within this time, I've been slacking some points. I've been really on it. Before lockdown, I was going 6 days a week, you know, different sort of weight categories, you know, really progressive overload. And you know, my main focus is sort of bodybuilding, but you know, I do want to try and keep slim and keep lean, especially for sort of now in the summer. I'm in a cutting phase, right? And then I'll go into a bulking phase after the summer. So, you know, within this, a cutting phase is really important to sort of to be in a calorie deficit, right? I'm not going to sit here and be some sort of fitness person, but simply you need a calorie deficit, right? Then you can go into your sort of macronutrients, where you can look at, you know, your carbs, your fats, and your proteins, for example. You know, being a vegan, you do typically become protein deficient, but you get your protein from other sources. You might just have an extra protein shake a day, for example. And you know, it's really important that you understand sort of how sort of your diet and how exercise can benefit your brain in many different ways. And today I'm going to be talking about sort of, you know, we do have the physical advantages of running and exercise in general, such as, you know, it strengthens the muscles and the bones, it increases your cardiovascular ability, and of course it does burn calories, helping with that calorie deficit. However, I want to focus more on the mental side of it, right? For me, like I said, my mental sort of state at the moment is so positive, and today going for a run again after say a month or two, it has really helped me, and you know, it's made me feel a lot better about myself. But you know, that's not just sort of, you know, just like a thing. It's not a coincidence. It's because there's a mental stimulus behind it. So of course, one of the first things we learn, you know, in PE or sports education, whatever it might be, is that when we do exercise, the body releases endorphins. Now these endorphins interact with our pain receptors, and therefore we feel a lot more sort of positive, and we reduce our perception of pain. This also triggers a natural high, as morphine would, for example. If anyone's ever been on morphine, I haven't had the opportunity, and touch wood I won't. But you know, it makes you feel more positive, and it makes you feel a lot more like-minded, and sort of takes all the stress away. So, you know, that's still the simple part. That's what most people know, right? But I'm just going to go over a few things. You might know them already, but I just want to share them because I find for myself it's really interesting. There is a few sort of chemicals and proteins that I'm not probably going to be able to say, but you kind of get the picture, right? So firstly, it's proven to decrease symptoms of depression. I'm not going to go into sort of an explanation too much because I can't explain it in all the other points. They all kind of break down into that. But you know, it decreases symptoms of depression, which for many people, especially at the moment, it can be a really serious problem. And you know, mental health should be taken very seriously. For myself, you know, I'm always trying to help in any way I can. You know, if any of you guys ever struggle, or please reach out to me in my messages. I'm not just a trader, you know, like I'm someone who tries to be sort of, I try and help with mindset psychology. I'm not a professional, but I do sort of have some experience knowing what I'm talking about from my own personal experiences. Sometimes when you've got personal experiences, it kind of helps more than any education, more than any sort of certificate can say, right? So, you know, yeah, so simply decreases symptoms of depression. Let's go through some of the reasons why. So firstly, it increases your capacity to learn. There's boosted levels of BDNF, which is a brain-derived neurotrophic factor and neurotransmitter, catecholamine, probably said that wrong, which are heavily associated with the brain's cognitive or learning function. And, you know, that's quite interesting to think. You know, more running means that you can have a better sort of brain ability, and you're able to sort of understand and retain information a lot better, and you know, learn a lot better, which is obviously a key aspect of life, right? Being able to learn different things. And this leads on to the next point. You know, with this increased production of BDNF, it sharpens and increases your memory, which of course is important, especially as you get into later life, and obviously there's a threat of dementia and things like that. So as well as that, it slows down the chance of brain shrinkage and cognitive decline, which of course leads back to these points of, you know, a better memory and a better capability of learn. These all link together. You don't physically, you know, potentially there is a chance for your brain to sort of shrink a little bit or expand a little bit. It's not just, you know, a thing that people say. So going off of that, you know, with these things of, these improvements already, you kind of notice that, these are all very positive, right? And that's, of course, what we're here for. But one of the main points I want to talk about was running and walking. Definitely walking. If you're not going to run, definitely get out and do some walking, 10,000 steps a day, ideally. It alleviates anxiety and it helps you to relax. I used to suffer from anxiety myself. I used to be scared to go out. I used to be scared of public environments. I used to really be sort of scared about going out clubbing, for example, in closed spaces. It's something that I never really understood. I always just thought it was just something weird, I was just being silly. But, you get on later and you reflect on different experiences and reflect on, not speaking to people about it. And, you look up and you go, oh, do you know what? I was struggling at the time, and I can look back now proudly because I know where I've come from since then. And I think that's the most important part. Wherever and however you are feeling now, please don't be afraid to speak out to people. I didn't speak out to the people that were closest to me. Unfortunately, I lost some of them people. But, those who know me now know how far I've come and they're proud of me, and I'm proud of myself for that. You should always be proud of yourself for any achievements, whether it's physical, mental, you become a trader, you get a new job, whatever it may be. And that's why I'll always sort of be grateful for the people I have around me, and also be grateful for, any opportunity that people are given around me. I want people to succeed. I really do care about the people around me. I want the best people, and that's why I always try and do anything I can to help. And therefore, that's why psychology is so important to me, and something that I'll focus on throughout my social media and my YouTube, because I've now got a platform, and even if it's 100 people, even if it's one person watching this video, if it changes your life, therefore I want to help in any way I can. So, always talk up, and of course, if you're struggling with anxiety, don't be afraid to speak out to people. I know it can be really hard, and, if people really care, they'll understand, or they'll try and understand, and they'll offer their hand, and at the end of the day, it's up to you to take it or not. I know that sometimes it's not easy to, but just try your best, alright? So, going off of that point, something that people struggle with is sleep. So, not just because you're tired or achy after a run, but it does help because it regulates circadian rhythms, so it heightens daytime alertness, quicker onset to sleep, which means that you go to sleep quicker, you go into a deeper sleep. You can actually measure your sleep nowadays as well. I've never done that before, but it's probably quite interesting to look at. There's also a reduction in symptoms of insomnia, and also sleep apnea. So, sort of going back to that point of anxiety, it makes sense that if you're alleviating anxiety, you're probably going to have a better self-esteem and feel a lot better within yourself. Well, the reason why is, of course, as well as these endorphins, you, of course, with a better performance, it's proved that you're going to have a better self-esteem, right? If you're in a sport, if you're an athlete, if you perform better than most, you're going to feel a lot better about yourself. If you reach your targets, you'll feel better. If you don't reach your targets, you're not going to feel as great. So, of course, it makes sense, right? And, those who may be classed as overweight, or they might be classed as unfit, or if you class yourself as that, it makes you feel better. I know if I'm having a rough week, or I feel like I've ate too much food, or I'm in a calorie surplus, going for a run makes me feel a little bit better about myself. And then going off that point, after a run, I notice that I don't want to go eat a chocolate bar, go eat something that's not healthy for me. I want to eat something that's going to give me sort of recovery, so protein shake, but then I also try and have some fruit or something sugary, but natural sugars. And the reason why is because you demand healthier food after a run because you feel better about yourself. What would be the point if you went and done a run, or went to the gym, come back and snacked out on a load of pizza, right? It doesn't work. You don't go to the gym, lose 300 calories, then eat 300 calories of shit, and it makes you feel better, right? So, off that point, it's actually proven that when people sort of go to the gym, do exercise, do running, rather than going for snacking, unhealthy foods, or even marijuana, drugs, or alcohol, they actually choose healthier foods, which I just thought was really interesting. I just thought about junk food, but, these sort of drugs and alcohol, it's quite interesting to think about that. So then, if you're feeling better about yourself, you're improving your diet, you're improving sort of your self-esteem, it makes sense that your brain's healing, right? So healing is quite an interesting topic because it can be in all different ways. You can have physical healing as in your body, you have mental healing in terms of, that mindset, but you can also have spiritual healing in different ways, law of attraction, grounding, these different aspects of life, right? And, the reason sort of going off that is because of when you do these things and, run and exercise, it renormalizes your function of that feel-good neurotransmitter, and it produces a production of this. And therefore, them endorphins, they're increased, and, you feel a lot better about yourself, which makes sense, right, of all these different aspects we're talking about. So, there's sort of some of the mental advantages, and I thought it was really interesting, so I hope you find them interesting too. Please let me know what you thought was the most interesting one there. If you didn't know something, put it down below. If you know something you could add, put it down below as well. So whenever you challenge yourself in any field, you should always set goals and targets, right? I done a video the other day about goals. I hope you all watched it. If not, go check it out. And the importance of goal setting and targets, right? And that's exactly what winners do. They don't just sit and get complacent. They set goals and improve themselves. And you know, Michael Jordan, I was watching the documentary called The Last Dance, and it's a really, really good documentary. I'd recommend you go watch it, especially those guys who are interested in basketball. I played it in school myself. Within the documentary, they were talking about, you know, it's very focused on Michael Jordan, right? They've made him sort of the main character of it, which is natural. He's one of the best, or if not the best NBA player of all time. And there was a scene where he was on the bus, and after sort of most games, whenever on the bus or before, they were playing cards, and they play obviously real money. And of course, being athletes, being very, very good athletes in their prime, they were earning a fair amount, right? So they were doing hundreds, thousands, whatever. However, there was a couple guys at the back, at the front of the bus, who were playing with next to nothing, you know, just playing for the fun of it. Michael Jordan come over and said, you know, I want to play, lads. And they was like, well, why would you want to play with us? And he said, because I just want to win. I want to prove that I can beat you. That was his mindset. Now, going off of that point, I thought this was really interesting. So, he used to convince himself in games, he used to psych himself up. And what he'd do is, he'd convince himself that a player had made a rude remark or slandered him to try and get to him, right? So then what he'd do is, he'd convince himself of this, he'd make this in his head, he'd say it to himself. So then when he played the next game, or, you know, played the game, he would then absolutely rip him to shreds, and he did. There was a rookie who he convinced himself of something, and he absolutely ripped him to shreds, and was a very, very good performance, right? And after the win, he turned around and said, he didn't actually say anything to me. I just made it sound like he said, because he was getting himself in that sort of psyche. He was genuinely a true winner, and I just really resonated with that because I thought it was really interesting. So, you know, going off of that point, I just thought I'd add that in there. So the hardest part of getting involved is taking the leap of faith into a new endeavour, right? We're always scared of new experiences. However, once we do really enjoy it, and we see that the value in it and the potential in it. The hardest part of getting into regular exercise, into diet, is starting it, right? You know, that first switch into, say, being vegetarian, being vegan, being pescatarian, that first run, that first time going to the gym, you feel anxious about yourself, you're worried about yourself, how people perceive you. I was always scared, like, worried to go to the gym because, you know, I thought I was out of shape, people were going to laugh at me. I got to the gym and realised it was one place I actually didn't care what anyone else thought, because I was actually improving myself, and all I cared about was how I felt about myself in that point. And that's why I think the gym's really important to me, because, you know, mental stimulation makes me feel better about myself, my self-esteem, but it's somewhere where I'm just away from everything, you know, phone goes on do not disturb, you know, I'm just focused on myself, and in that time, that is my time to myself. My phone goes off ridiculous every single day. You know, I get hundreds of messages a day from WhatsApp, from iMessage, friends, family, colleagues, people within the community, and you know, that's my one chance to shut off, and you need that. You always need to shut off at some times. I know it's hard, and it's ironic because most people probably know I'm a workaholic, but I enjoy what I do, which makes it easier in some sense. But sometimes I have to shut off, you know, whether it's your breakfast in the morning, whether your lunch, dinner, an hour break maybe, you know, in the evening, shut off. The weekends always great, you know, if you do want to go have a beer, right? As long as you're doing it in that sense of you're keeping it in normality and not doing too much, it's fine. You know, enjoy time with your friends, enjoy the friends and family you have around you. It's really important. So, you know, off that point, you know, once you start that sense, you find results, you become consistent, you feel better about yourself, and you refuse to go back to the way you was before. For me, ever since I started being vegan, I didn't think I'd enjoy it. I used to love meat, I used to love everything like that. And, you know, I started to feel like I felt a lot better in myself. You know, I was going to the gym still, I was running, doing that. So it might not just be from that, but you know, that formula, building that winning strategy, and it did make me feel a lot better about myself. So you know, becoming consistent with it, I didn't want to go back to sort of how I was before, because I wasn't healthy and I wasn't happy with myself. You know, that's just something for you to make your own decision about, but you know, that is my personal experience. And it's the same with trading. I'm not going to make this too revolved around trading, as you've probably seen, but you know, it's good to link back to it. And I know many of you guys probably follow me because of my trading content. So you know, many are scared to get into trading because they're scared of, you know, the scammers and all pyramid schemes. But once you do it with the right people, with the right education, with the right mentors, they see the long-term vision, they enjoy it. Obviously, we have the funded traders process. We make the chance to become a funded trader like myself. It's a really, really good process, and people really do buy into it. And you know that sort of with a run, for example, that night before, you might put your running clothes out. You know, the affirmation, you put your running clothes out. You know, you can say, I'm going to go for a run in the morning. I've done it many times. Get someone and go, I'd rather the 30 minutes sleep. I used to go running at 6 in the morning, whereas today I went at midday, which I don't normally do. But, you know, it's just trying to change your routine a little bit. You know, if you don't want to do it in the morning, that's fine. Just make sure you try and get in at some other point in the day. And, you know, so with that sense of, you know, you debate it, you're not sure you want to do it. You know, whether you go in the morning, whether you go in the evening, you know, the minutes before you might even turn around and go, I don't want to do such, I don't want to go for the run. But, you know, once you push yourself to do it, you feel like it's the right choice, you're happy about it, right? Because once you're running, you don't want to stop at that point. So, you know, going off that point, I thought it was really interesting, and that's why I kind of wanted to make this video. And obviously I've gone into a lot more depth than I wanted to, because I want to make these quality videos for you and educational in different manners of life. Like I said, I don't want to just be a trader. I want to be someone who can influence in a positive way and use my experiences, negative or positive, to help other people, right? So, you know, the hardest part of a run is the first 1K, because you need to set yourself in terms of pacing. You need to understand sort of how far you want to run, how fast you're going to run. And you know, if you have an injury or you're new to running, you know, you're not sure what pace you want to do. You might go a little bit slower. You might be a bit nervous, a bit anxious. So therefore, you know, you're going to go a bit slower. That means that you're preparing for the risk that you might have a bad time or a slow time. As long as you're happy with it, don't worry. All it's about is process, or progress, sorry. So, you know, whether you start off a 30-minute 5K, that's great, right? If you start a 40-minute 5K, that's fine. If you start a 50-minute 5K, that's fine. Whatever is within your goals and targets. Don't set yourself to anyone else, right? So, you know, with that sense, you know, it can be hard in that sense. And, you know, the other way, that if you're in shape, you feel fresh, you're in a good mood maybe, you know, you might go for a faster pace, but you prepare your wrist that you might slow down later, and it might not be sort of the average pace that you're going to set. So, you know, it's the same with trading. The hardest part of trading is definitely sort of getting involved with it. But, you know, once you are trading, the hardest part is that first 1% trade. So what I mean by that is, in trading, you risk 1%. So when you get to 1%, you remove your risk from the trade. I'm not going to go into too much of it, but basically you remove your risk. So therefore, you're prepared to take that 1% risk, but you're anxious that you might take a loss, or, you know, you want to move your break, you want to move to break even ASAP, remove the risk, you know, simple terms. So, you know, that's what your thoughts are. So once you pass the first kilometre, or you reach that first 1%, you feel better for a good start. You know, you're setting your pace right, and now you know how you feel, and you're happy you took that opportunity. And from there, it does get easier, right? Because you start to get into the middle of the run or the trade, you measure in each 1 kilometre increment or 1% increment, right? And therefore, you know, when you're sort of, if you take that 1%, you remove your risk, you're now looking at, you know, whatever you get now is now a bonus, you know, there's no risk there. And, you know, the other side of a run, you know, you might go for a 5K. I went for a 5K today, I ended up doing a 6K. Just because I felt good, and I felt like it was a good pace, and I wanted to go a little bit further and just push myself just for that little extra. You know, getting that winning mentality, not settling for average, want to go better. Then there's the last part of it. The last half a kilometre, or maybe that push to the final target region, you know, trade maybe a Fibonacci minus 27%. Sometimes we don't want to stop until the finish, you know. We have this metaphorical finish line, you know, we want to have to go above and beyond and prove that we're the bee's knees, right? But this is sometimes when we get greedy and we try to do too much, continue to run after maybe an injury. My hamstring felt a bit tight today, my calf felt a bit tight. Haven't run in a while, it's no surprise. But, you know, I was pacing myself rightly, and so I decided, go stop at 6K, walk the last sort of 0.2 kilometres, and I felt sort of fine for it. I don't know if I'll feel fine tomorrow though. But, you know, and then you might not close the trade because it's, you know, 10 pips away from your take profit. You know, you've just caught a 200 pip trade, 10%, but you're worried about that extra 20 pips, right? This is where sometimes we have to be more sensible in life and realise there's much more to that extra 1%, you know? We've got to be happy with what we've got in front of us, the opportunity we've been given. So, you know, whether it's running, whether it's trading, we can compare the two. I see many aspects of my life as a chance to progress and a chance to win or lose. The reason why I do it is because I like to set that mindset. You know, it's not about being competitive. It's about challenging yourself and understanding that mental psyche is really, really important. You know, when you thought you couldn't push that final line, you know, even when you couldn't before, self-belief is the difference. You know, sometimes in our winning nature, we want to push that final edge. That's fine. Just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. You know, you're not being greedy in a sense. So off of that point, you know, breaking that physical and mental barrier and coming out on top is the most important thing in sort of setting your goals and your targets. The brain is truly powerful, and sometimes we overcome the hardest barrier, which is that mental hurdle, and that's what allows us to succeed. So I'm just going to leave you with one question, or maybe two. Firstly, what did you learn from the video, and what motivates you to succeed? Is it your friends, your family? Is it, you know, you've come back from a hard time, you come back from being in a place you wasn't happy with? So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Of course, as I said in the middle of the video, if you do need anything for any reason, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help in any way I can and share my experiences. I hope sort of it inspires you. Maybe one day I'll talk a little bit more about it, but for now, I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you have a good day or good evening, and, you know, I hope you've learned something from this video and taken something. See you guys later.